Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what part of the day you're watching this new episode of Data Driven Formula One. Today's topic, the GOAT Index, Part 1, or in other words, we are looking to find an answer to the question, who is the greatest Formula One driver of all time? If you're following our podcast for a while, you remember we came to this question various times and always concluded it's impossible to answer because Formula One in the 50s, 70s, 90s, or now in the 2020s is something completely different. We have different cars, we had different regulations. Just consider a Formula One race in the 1950s could last more than 3 hours. Also, the Formula One tracks had been much, much longer in some cases than the actual tracks. Also, safety is different topics, and of course, drivers are completely different. Also, because they had to adapt not only to regulations, but also drivers became more athletic, more data-driven, and so on. Nevertheless, this year, 2026, we have two AI systems, two large language models being sponsored in Formula One. One is Claude, being a sponsor of the Williams team. The other one, Perplexity, sponsor of Lewis Hamilton, personal sponsor for him. So why not asking these two large language models first to create an index, how to measure this, and then give us the results. And today we start with Claude, and then in the second part we will see what Perplexity answered. And just to give you a hint, the answers are different, the results are different. So interesting, and you see here, artificial intelligence is not the same as artificial intelligence. Different models come to different conclusions. So first, who is Claude? Anthropic, its mother company, is an AI research and development company that creates reliable, interpretable, and steerable AI systems. Its flagship product, Claude, is the industry leader in reasoning and safety, trusted by the world's top enterprises. Teams use Claude to debug reams of code, analyze dense research, and build entirely new products. So it's much more than just answering your questions. Helping them ask better questions, challenge assumptions, and make clear decisions under pressure. Important, this is the press release from Williams. Of course, it's a little bit biased, but important point which Anthropic points out, please not only use large language models to get answers to your question, ask the model to ask better questions, challenge, use it to play around with an idea up to challenge your assumptions, and this with this it's a support for your decision making. Please consider the information from the AI model, but you are responsible for the decision itself, ethically and also from a legal point of view. As the official thinking partner, as they call it, of the Atlassian Williams F1 team, Claude will be integrated across the entire organization, working alongside engineers and team strategists to support how the team thinks, plans, and performs across race strategy, car development, and operations. So far, the official Williams press release. But let's come to the index which Claude provides us to come to a decision who is the greatest Formula One driver of all time. And again, Claude comes up with a different idea than, for example, Perplexity. But and this using the same prompt for both models. So the Claude index includes 7 weighted dimensions. First, era adjusted championship performance, 25% for um, the title relative to era's competitive field depth, because it's you have also to understand the quality of the other drivers whom you have beaten to become champion. The dominance ratio, 20% weighted. The wins and pools per season entered normalized by average field competitiveness. Advertise and danger factor 15%, error mortality risk, mechanical unreliability, and physical demands. Technical ability 50% weighted, performance across different car regulations slash teams, head to head versus teammates, because a teammate is the first one you have to beat. Controlling for equipment, also a 10% weighted. Peak season quality, 10%. Single best season performance, and is normalized. And the longevity under pressure, sustained performance across the seasons, because some have been just a few seasons active, some for a longer time. So this is the dimensions. One important factor. This is what the AI model gives me, but what I don't have is access to the used data. So this is, I mean, it's not the black box is not what is important, but the black box in this case is the database itself, because I do not have access to this, so I cannot check if this data is correct or not. So this you have to consider. For us, the podcast, I mean, this is a little bit just for entertaining to say it that way. But if you want to have a professional usage of an AI model, of course, you must check the data, because data can be biased, and in many times is biased, not only the data itself, but also the human decides which data I include and which not, including I as a human could change the dimensions um, of what should be included into my index. Different dimension will lead to different results. For example, what you may consider it is important to be the greatest driver of all times, not only the driving itself, but how you developed the team, how you developed the car for the next season. So this is something which is not directly here included, but if you consider this should be inside, you would have to include it into the index. Okay, then let's come to the results, and we start with number 10 and then go up to number 1. On number 10, Sterling Moss, active from 1951 to 1961. So you see here his strange strengths have been adversity and danger, 15%. This is 50% weighted, and here he has a 95 out of 100. This is his strongest point, and his weakest point, longevity under pressure, only 52. And Claude also interprets the results. Never won a world championship, yet routinely considered one of the greatest. Won 16 Grand Prix, but often drove for smaller teams rather than the dominant constructor. His consistency, car control, and error danger score are elite. The best driver never to win a title argument is strongest here. Career ended by a near fatal crash at Goodwood in 1962. We did a special episode about Sterling Moss. If he wouldn't had this accident, most probably he would have driven a Ferrari car in the World Championship supported by the Scuderia Ferrari. And with this, he would have had high chances to win a title, but it never went that way because of these reasons. Number 9, three-time champion Jackie Stewart, active from 65 to 1973. A total score of 83.6 out of 100. His biggest strengths also adversity and danger, and also he weakness relatively longevity under pressure. Three world titles, but equally important as a safety crusader, he fought the establishment to make the sport less lethal after watching friends die at the wheel. He retired at 34, quite young, partly due to psychological toll of racing an era with an average two driver deaths per year. His advocacy literally saved lives beyond Formula One. So this is Jackie Stewart, and also about him, we have a data-driven Formula One episode covering his life and career. Number eight, actual driver Max Verstappen started 2015 and still active in Formula One. So interesting if you want to complain that in the past always had been better, I can tell you two of the 10 drivers are still active in Formula One. So we are living in quite good times related Formula One. Max's biggest strength is head-to-head versus teammate, and I think this is quite understandable if we see the last seasons. If we think about a weakness, adversary and danger only 54 points. Three consecutive world titles from 21 to 23 and a record 19 wins in 2023. His 2021 championship was one of the most dramatic in history. Strong head-to-head record against elite teammates, scored lower on adversary, modern safety area, so it's practically it's not his fault, so to say, but he is driving in an area where luckily we don't have this high number of bigger up to fatal accidents. So this that's why he gets a little bit a lower score. But again, this is not really related to him as the person. And well, you may argue, and that's the reason why it is in, because today's drivers maybe are not willing to accept a chance of 20% dying in the car, as Niki Lauda um, defined it once. And that's why you may say a driver in the 50s was entering the car with the idea that maybe he not will survive this race, and this is not a as mental setup which we have today. Scored lower on adversity and adaptability, primarily Red Bull. Maybe because he was in the strongest car, he developed it, but he may have a weakness adapting to a weaker car, something which we may see now in 2026, in the beginning at least of the season. So he of course, while he is still active, he may become stronger also on this point. And that's why what also Claude concluded, likely to improve in both dimensions as his career continues. Number seven, they already mentioned Niki Lauda, active from 71 to 1985. His strongest points, adversity and danger. I mean, he literally survived a very relevant accident, nearly getting burned in the car at the Nürburgring race. So here, adversity and danger, 97. And his weakest points, let me check, is longevity under pressure, as he quitted twice Formula One. As he said, he became bored driving in a circle, at least in the first time. His 1976 story is unique in sporting history. Nearly fatal fire at the Nürburgring, life-threatening burns, yet returned just 48 days later and pushed the championship to the final race. His adversity score reflects both the era danger and his personal courage. Two titles before and one after the accident. A unique, rational, and brave competitor. Of course, also inspired the movie Rush. Besides that, he of course inspired many Formula One drivers. So Niki Lauda, position number seven. On six, his former team colleague Alan Prost, active 1980 to 1993. His strongest score, 19 era adjusted titles, and also a technical adaptability, both 90 points. His weakest is adversity and Danger. Four world titles, the record for most Formula One victories until Michael Schumacher, nicknamed the professor for his mechanical sympathy and strategic genius. His ability to extract value from imperfect machinery and manage championship campaigns sets him apart. His battles with Senna produced some of the sport's defining moments. Also, here you may see this in the fictive Senna series, which also have a focus on his rivalry with Alan Prost. Also, of course, we have a data-driven Formula One episode about the professor. Number five, and practically all the drivers from the position 5 to 1 are also mentioned as the GOATs, greatest of all times, or mentioned by experts or other studies as the greatest of all times. And again, due to the Claude index, we have on position 5 Jim Clark, active from 1960 to 1968. His biggest strength, domination ratio, 97, and the weakness, longevity under pressure, as I mean, unfortunately, his life have been cut short due to accident. Two world titles, but a dominance ratio wins per start that rivals Fangio. Died at Hockenheim in 1968, another driver whose career was cut short by the brutal conditions of the area. His technical mastery and smoothness were ahead of his time. Limited adaptability score as he drove preeminently for Lotus. So Jim Clark, position 5. Number 4, the other still active driver, 2001 until present, meaning the same as we said about Max Verstappen. He is still able to get higher scores. Of course, also he could lower his score as he's still continuing, hopefully, some years. His biggest strength is wow, and 99 in longevity under pressure, and weakest point, adversity and danger, and also here because he is active today, where we luckily have much less bigger accidents than in the beginning and in Formula One and still in the 80s or 90s. 7 titles equaling Schumacher's record, 100 race wins, wins points for extraordinary longevity and for competing across multiple regulation eras. Slightly penalized for the safety of the modern era and for some seasons in dominant machinery, for example 2014 to 2016. His 27 debut season and 2018 performance in an inferior car are among the best individual seasons in history. So that's Claude's conclusions to Lewis Hamilton. Number 3, Juan Manuel Fangio, active 1950 to 1958. Not that long, but you must consider that he was already relatively old when the Formula One started in 1950 with the championship. So he was already quite active and successful before Formula One. He has 91.1 of 100 in total score. He has nearly perfect scores in error-adjusted titles, 99 and also 99. Technical adaptability, also here 99, as he has 5 titles for 4 different constructors, something which is completely unique to him. Lowest score in longevity under pressure, quite relative from my point of view, because, as I said, he was already in advanced age when he started Formula One, and that's why he drove not as long as, for example, Lewis Hamilton. 5 titles in 8 years, driving for 4 different constructors, feat never repeated. He raced when fatality rates per season were staggeringly high. His adaptability score is the highest in the index. Short career due to the era, but also to his age when he started, but the quality is unmatched. The sport was fundamentally more dangerous than anything that followed. So Juan Manuel Fangio, number 3. Number 2, Michael Schumacher, active 1991 to 2012, and he has 91.8 out of 100. Strongest points, 97, so a little bit lower than the strongest points of Hamilton and Fancho. And this for era adjusted titles, weakest point, adversity, and danger. Seven world titles, 91 race wins, a record for 16 years, defined the era of technological F1. His early career ruthless, uh, and there are various examples, for example, race 1997, as mentioned by Claude here, and dominant Ferrari years score maximum titles and dominance. Deducted on adversaries earlier errors and some controversial teammate situations, as for example, strategy that the second driver let Schumacher win, as Ferrari wanted to ensure the title as manufacturer and also for the driver. So this is Michael Schumacher on the second position. And I mean, with this, there would be no surprise for you who is number one. Of course, Ayrton Senna, active 84 to 1994. It's 93.2 out of 100 points. And also here, interestingly, even if he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time, he does not have a 99 as Fancho or Hamilton or or 100, which has nobody. But his strongest is peak season quality with 98, and this is unique as he's the only one with this biggest strength. Um, Weakest points, longevity under pressure, and also here because he literally died in the race car. Widely considered the most gifted driver in car-to-car combat, his raw wet weather and qualifying pace was otherworldly. Three titles arguably understates this dominance. Mechanical failures and inter-team politics cost him dearly. Died in the wheel in 1994, raising his adversity score. Okay, that's what Claude concluded. I'm sure some of you will agree to the AI, some not, because as I said, practically each driver starting from number 5 to number 1 had been mentioned as the greatest of all time by different experts, different studies. So I'm sure you may have different opinions about one or the other driver here in the top 10. Again, first of, if you want to get an answer who is the best of all time, first of all, you have to define what means being the best. I mean, what are the dimensions which you consider relevant for a successful Formula One driver, which can be different than to what Claude came up. So, for example, my point would be how good he developed the car, the team, which is not considered, as far as I understand, by this Claude index. As I've already mentioned, this was part one, where we got discussed the results from Claude. The next part two will be perplexity, and I can promise you the results will be different, also because the dimensions are different. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. Uh, if so, please give it a like. If you want, comment and maybe comment why you think it should be somebody completely different than Ayrton Senna, as in this example. Also, you can follow us on YouTube, YouTube Music, and Spotify. This for the video versions. On all other podcast catchers, you find the audio only version. Okay, that's all for today. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye.